So let's see where this goes. Hi. Wanted to step into the room because I realize what my algorithms want on YouTube. I have had this channel for at least 14 years, and there's a lot of content. Most of the content has never reached over 1,000 views. That's not what this video is about. It's about maintaining consistency because I realize that regardless to whether one person watches it, two persons, or 500 people, somebody took the time to view. Let's get to the topic. Diddy. It's hardly ever a topic I want to discuss. I realize that the algorithm requires some popular, relatable content. Therefore, occasionally, I will pop in and I will give you something that we all can relate to. I realize that when I post food, we can relate to that. I realize when I post particular musical artists, we can relate to that. So here we are having a conversation about someone who I don't consider musical or an artist in any capacity. Diddy. Let's do it. When I was younger, Diddy was making his way. I've never been overly a fan of commercial music intentionally. Now, if we want to talk about Michael Jackson or Prince or George Benson or Quincy Jones or Mos Def or Common, if they are considered painfully popular, then I have my moments. George Michael, those people, I have my moments. Steely Dan, I can say her name. I can see her face. I can't say her name. I have my picks of people who have been popular, and I think I like them intentionally when I did not know the difference between popular music and underground artists. When I became more aligned with the deeper soul, the deeper jazz, the deeper artist itself, then I figured out the difference between commerciality and underground art. And typically I sway to the underground artist. That's just my go-to. So I've never been fond of Diddy. When I started to pay attention to who he was in the background of people like Mary J. Blige, Biggie, and those folks, I knew who Andre Harrell was before I knew who Diddy was. And when Diddy came about and I figured out who he was in the mix of those people, it immediately registered for me that I did not like him. I am a very intuitive, very deep thinker. When someone strikes me as unlikable, and I can't shake it, because sometimes it could be like superficial. It could just be me being uncomfortable for some sort of, but when I get that deep sensation in myself that says that I don't like somebody, it is highly likely that I have a really good reason that I have not come to yet. And at every point when I would see Diddy on TV, when I would hear about him, whatever it was in context to him, always was just like, just something about him, just something. Never had a moment when I was just like, I look at him and something about his lips and the fact that his mouth hardly ever closed, like he couldn't keep his mouth together, bottom lip, top lip together. Something about that always struck me, and I have a issue with teeth as it pertains to like stacked teeth. I have a thing about lips, so that's a physical thing, but just never. I was in New York at one point. It was my first trip to New York, and I remember there being a bunch of parties because it was like in the NBA All-Star weekend, and we had flown in for NBA All-Star Weekend, and all these parties were happening and celebrities everywhere. And I was literally just trying to get to the streets of New York because it was my dream to live there. So I was just trying to get acclimated and find my way, and I wanted to take all the pictures and do all the artful things. And we went to these celebrity parties, and everybody's like, we got to go to Diddy's party. No. I remember standing on the street outside and somewhere around Times Square, and there was a party, and like Fat Joe was outside, and all these people were there, and I was like, I don't want to go in, and I did not go to we were VIP'd or something. We had a way to get in. Didn't want to be around him. This was around the time, either before Tupac, no, it was after Tupac died, and I think it was before or right after Biggie died, this NBA All-Star game. And I was hearing things on the streets of New York that were leading people to believe that he could have possibly had something to do with the death of Biggie. I'll say it again. I was in New York, and I was hearing things on the streets of New York, and I'll never forget that he could have possibly had something to do with the death of Biggie. And I was like, I believe it. And I was like, I don't want to be around him. I don't want to be in no parties with him, because you just don't know what is going to happen. So now, how do I feel about the Biggie, the Diddy situation? It's called karma. I don't have any evidence to prove anything. All I know is that there's far too much energy and far too much direction pointing at him. I know that we are about to see a domino effect of things. Cat Williams is one of my Jedis that I go to. I did not like Cat Williams. I didn't think I was going to like Cat Williams when I first discovered his work based on the characters that he was portraying. But as I started to watch his stand-ups and I started reading about him, he has something special. And I'm not even saying that he doesn't have some alignment with these folks that allows him to come and say what he's saying. And, you know, he has some moments where he's caught stray bullets. But this period right now, what happened in January and what he said on the Shay Shay show, and I'm not a fan of the Shay Shay show, Club Shay Shay. I don't watch it. I don't trail it. I watch it when there's somebody on there. I watched it for Amanda Seales. That's on the channel. I watched it for Monique. That's on the channel. I watched it for Kirk Franklin because somebody asked me to watch it. Cat Williams had my whole attention. I've gone back and watched that video several times because Cat was holding what I thought was a master class on truths in Hollywood. And I'm a fan. And I'm not a fan of a lot of people. Like, I don't swoon celebrities like that. I've been in several rooms with celebrities. Been in rooms with Jay-Z and Ananda Lewis in New York City. Things were getting steamy. I was in the room with them dancing. You don't have any pictures of that. You hardly have pictures of me in any capacity in any celebrity situation. The only person that I will own fanning in a real way, I came up with two over the course. Angela Davis, all praises due. I have always, always, always lived and loved and admired the work and the person that I understand Angela Davis to be. Mind you, she's an Aquarian. Air signs all up in this bitch. But the other one, interestingly enough, would be Black Thought of the Roots. And I had a moment, a real moment. Oh, I got three. Black Thought of the Roots, House of Blues, doing a Roots tour. I'm up in the opera box with the homies and the coworkers, and he kept staring at me. And everybody's like, "Oh, he's staring at you. Danny, he looking right at you." And I was like, "Oh, you know." And I was like, "He kind of sexy, kind of chocolate, you know." get downstairs. All these girls flocked around him. I was like, oh, no, no, no. I don't want no smoke. I don't want none of that. And then there is the one and only Belial Oliver, who at one point recently I was trading messages in the inbox with, who's coming to town in October. And he is not a Gemini. So I don't have any theories about that. I think he's an amazing artist. I love his work. He is attractive, but I got my limits in terms of craziness. Like, we would probably not be a good fit. But as it pertains to all these other artists and stuff, I want you on the stage. I want to admire your work. I want to have a good time, feel the vibrations and the energy, and then I want to dip. Sarah Devine was in town a couple months ago. She worked with us. There are no pictures of me with her because I have other things to do. In addition to that, I'm leaving because I don't think you need me to further the narrative of how I feel about Diddy. I don't really think you need me to do that. I think that everything is coming out. I think everything is coming out the way that it should right now. And I'm not reveling in this because I don't like to see black people I don't even know what word I want to use. But when we have challenges like this, when Bill Cosby had the challenge that he had, when Michael Jackson has this challenge, when even what's the boy's name that had the challenge, Juicy Smollett, when Jussie had the challenge that he had, I was embarrassed. And I'm not reveling in any of this. I'm not making jokes about it. I'm not, I posted content on TikTok for several reasons. I posted the content because when you see him in this state where he's like, I'm the freest alive and I could do whatever I want. And the video where he's smashing and throwing shit off of his desk, it kind of gives you the sense that he doesn't feel like anyone above him is going to serve him for the things that he's done. He felt like he could get away with anything. What he could not get away with, what he seemed to be either over egomaniacal or just plain stupid, was to stay in the country. Because if we all have the facts that we have, and we do, Russell Simmons is not in this country for a reason. And I'm not even sure what that reason is. But I do realize that he has some sexual assault issues, because I had conversation directly with someone who was his assistant on Twitter. And there's truth to some things. There's a very good reason why he's not in this country right now. There's also a very interesting dynamic that suggests with Bill Cosby that he was isolated in this challenge that he had. Like, nobody else fell around him. They could have pulled Sidney Poitier. They could have pulled Harry Belafonte. They could have pulled, we had the same scenario with Richard Pryor. Could have pulled some plugs on the people around him. It looks like if Diddy is going to be an isolated issue, can I say that he's going to be an isolated issue? I don't think he's going to be isolated. I think this is the beginning of some real unraveling of people, of celebrity people. I think it's unfortunate that we cannot acquire wealth as a unit. Probably one of the smartest people on the planet Earth as it stands might be Barack Obama. Because, and knock on this wood, Barack Obama will probably be able to leave the planet, I pray, unscathed. And I'm not saying I'm a fan. I don't typically fan. I'm a supporter. But if you're smart, whatever it is that you're doing or who you're associated with who's doing some shit, you probably just need to be real strategic about how you move. If you don't understand how to be the fuck quiet, if you don't understand how to manage relationships, if you got to run to Facebook and run all over the place and tell everything that you do, if you feel like you're untouchable, if you feel like people can just, if you're going to, people ain't going to let you get away with everything. God is going to check you. God is always checking somebody. He checks me all the time. Hey, you think you're going to get away? No, you can't do that. No. Karma. I'm really aware of how karma works. I have some people who I'm looking around going, can karma get him now? Can karma get him now? Can karma get him? Oh, it's not in my time. It's your time. It's in the divine time. Okay, let me just go mind my damn business. We all have to pay. And if you get really away from the source, whatever your source is, source energy, you could say God, you could say Jesus, you could say Yahweh, you could say, you could call Oshun, you could call all the ancestors, you can call Archangel Gabriel, you can call everybody. Whoever your source is, Allah, whoever your source is, if you get away from source and you forget that there's someone above you and energies around you that you have to be concerned, when you forget that, you'll get a reminder. And that's all I'm going to say.